Hello and welcome to Our Time.
Great to have your company once again right around Australia for our next episode of Our Time. And on this episode, we're going to find out more about what's going to happen to community television in the next few months and future.
River cruises. Phil Stiles is
and if I was to do this, what would this possibly mean?
I'd say, where's my gun when I need one? Oh.
How cutting. No. But we're laughing because...
Well, we have a very special guest who is a gold Olympian medalist, gold medalist.
Olympian.
Paralympian.
Still, you're a Olympian. I can't even say the words.
Cosmala
is
here with us. Welcome to the program, Libby.
Thank you very much.
Libby, great to have you with us. You're obviously a runner.
A runner? No, I'm a wheelie.
You're a wheelie. But that's not what it is. And the other thing that's really interesting about you is I had no idea that there's no age restriction with the Paralympics, is there?
No.
So we should explain why we're holding this and guns and all of that and what this is.
That's a gold medal from the Paralympics.
Isn't that brilliant?
Yes.
And how many of these have you got?
Well, I've got 9, all for rifle shooting.
And what's really interesting about this one is on the back, there's... Can you see that's braille along the top there?
That's right, which means what's on the front of the...
Hang on, I'll see if I can read that. A really good shooter.
No, not quite.
Second line, a really good Sheila. But look, we've got not just this gold one, we've got the silver medals.
But they're amazing. They're big.
And that one there that you've just picked up.
This one?
That's a gold, but it's lost a bit of gold paint. So it's got
paint? You mean they're not real?
I don't think they're all real, no. I think some of them are gold. Some of them have got more gold in them than others. But that gold paint one, or that one that, that you held, that's on my 60th birthday. I was in Korea and shooting against all comers. And I won the gold medal.
Oh, well done.
And these two big ones?
That's a bronze and a gold from Denmark.
Right.
So they're from all different parts of the world.
And we didn't get all of these out. There's another bag here of gold medals as well.
Extraordinary.
It is extraordinary.
But how long have you been
shooting? About 40 years.
Really? That long?
Yeah.
What drew you to shooting?
Well, I did archery for quite some time, and I loved archery. And then I was secretary to Wheelchair Sports in South Australia. And the president and I were invited to go to a rifle range. And I said, look, I've never held a rifle. I don't know anything about shooting. I really am not interested. And he said, well, we should go because we should encourage other disabled people to have a go.
Yeah.
So I went along and they gave me a rifle and they loaded it and they said, shoot that target, that one like that, just like that, 10 metres away from me. And all I could see through the sight was a little black dot. And I knew I had to get the middle, and I got right through the very middle.
Is that right?
And then they laughed and said, oh, that was a fluke, you better have another go. And I had another go, and it went straight through the middle again.
Well, so what gave you this sharp eye?
Yes.
I think I've inherited some ability from my father.
Well, it's a steady
hand. Good sportsman.
Steady hand too, isn't it?
Yeah, and yes, it's definitely steady.
Well, it's supported. I mean, I actually have
you're
supported on your shoulder.
Yeah, support it in here and hold it like that.
Not that I've ever, but I have seen it done. But
yeah, that's right.
But you have to train for this, don't you?
Oh yes, I train hard.
Not just in that sort of training.
No, not only shooting training, a lot of mental training, because they say it's 95% mental and 5% physical. So physically you've got to be fit too. And I do swimming twice a week in the aquatic centre in North Adelaide.
Yeah.
I push my wheelchair about 5.5 k's 2 or 3 times a week. And I was out there this morning at 6:30 pushing around the district.
Good gracious.
So, yeah, you've got to be fit. You've got to be able to cope with a big competition. Yeah, so...
Gosh.
What is it that drives you?
Love of it. Love of sport. Love of using my brain to, get a good shot. The comradeship. I enjoy the shooters, enjoy the people. I enjoy travelling. So, and I keep very well. I'm very healthy, so I'm very lucky.
You must be if you're training like that.
Yeah.
But it's also
fitter than I am.
But it's also what's happening in here because you've got a passion, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you've got a passion for something, it gets you up every morning.
That's right.
Particularly if you've got to go out with this at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you a question that is probably something that people would say, why on earth does he ask her that question? and it's guns. You know, today we're all concerned about gun laws, and we're lucky in Australia that we have some sort of restriction on gun ownership.
We do.
But of course the news is full of what's happening in the States and the gun lobby in the States, and it's quite clear there's a big separation between what sports people do with guns and what idiots do with guns.
That's right. That's so true. And there's very few errors made by any sports people who own guns. And we are all registered. We have every gun that we own is registered through the police force throughout Australia. And the guns that are undercover, unfortunately, there'll always be some there down undercover. In America, I don't think any guns are licensed. You can walk into any store and buy a gun at any age. And so it's not like we are in Australia. And it's fantastic that we have more laws and regulations.
So what do you think, as somebody who's involved in the sport, because it would appear you're promoting shooting guns. I'm just saying shooting guns. You're not promoting guns, but you're promoting shooting guns.
Shooting as a sport. It's a sport, and it's very demanding, and it's very exciting, and it's very good for the elderly as well as the very young.
Because you don't have to be a teenager and physically so healthy.
That's right. And people that have been in wheelchair sport as a wheelchair racer or a basketballer or a swimmer that do tire out and can't continue, then they should come into shooting.
Because then they can use the other aspect of their
fitness and mentality.
So, and I'll get over this in a tick. So if you were in an advisory capacity to a government,
yes,
what would you say to them?
To the Australian government?
Yep.
I would say that it would be lovely if every law throughout the whole of Australia on holding guns, taking guns interstate, and is the same throughout the whole of Australia. Unfortunately, each state is slightly different.
Laws, right.
Different laws.
Great.
So I would like to see. I would like to see it nationally the same. And when we take guns overseas, of course, when I'm going away in 2 weeks' time to Germany for training camp, there's a lot of paperwork to be done. And
sure, there is. Yeah. So do you beep when you go through customs?
No, not really.
You have a special lane to go
over a shoulder?
No. Customs come with me, and they put the rifle through to the plane. So.
Now, this must be an unusual thing, though, because, I mean, we never think about how you manage on a plane. Like, how do you get on and off a plane? How are you looked after in those ways?
Pretty well nowadays, much better than it used to be some years ago. They actually sometimes even they put me on a chair that's very narrow and you can wheel down the aisle of the plane, and they actually take my other wheelchair, sometimes take the wheels off and take the cushion off and fold it up a bit and then put it into the plane. So it's not lost, because I have lost a couple of wheelchairs by one of the airline companies.
That's frightening, isn't it?
Well, it is.
They don't just lose your luggage.
No, I was going to say they lose plenty of luggage, but to fancy losing a wheelchair.
Yeah, I've never seen it since. 2 wheelchairs, never seen it since.
How ridiculous.
How long do you think you'll be able to compete, do you feel?
Oh, well, I really think that this will be my last international competition, and I will still shoot around Australia and keep fit and enjoy it.
Could you do like in a training capacity though? You have people come that you can train?
Yeah, we've got a couple of new ones that have just come to our club. I'm secretary of the Outer Air Rifle Club at Wingfield, and we have a couple of new ones that have just come in. One man that's had a stroke, so he's shooting from one side, and he's really keen and really interested, and quite interested in getting to the very top like I've done.
Is that right?
So yes, I'll give him a lot of support when Rio's over. At the moment, Rio comes first.
Yeah.
So Rio. So when do you compete?
In Rio, in the second week in September, about the 8th, 9th of September.
Would you be able to come back and talk us through what happened to you in Rio?
Because I'd love to.
And to show us your medals?
Yes.
I hope so.
It'll be a gold one for sure.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And if it's not, I've got some gold spray out the back. It's been great talking with you, because I love your positive attitude to life. It's just lovely. And you know, that comes out your face.
Oh, thank you very much.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And you can see that you love life.
Yeah, well, I do. I'm a grandmother. I've got 3 little grandchildren. I've got 2 sons.
Well, beautiful.
Married a lovely husband, who also I met through wheelchair
sitting
sport.
over there very proudly. Yes.
Yeah, I met him through wheelchair sport.
Does he travel with you? Does he travel with you?
Not all the time, but he's been to 3 Paralympics with me. So That's been very
Brilliant.
exciting. Yeah.
Look, thank you very much, Libby. It's just
Pleasure.
great to talk with you, and it's also great to meet you.
Thank you.
And best wishes, I'm sure, from everyone in Australia. I'll look after you. Put them over there. And look, we'll be back in a tick. We're going to find out a little bit more about river and sea cruises with Peter Stiles, and we're going to find out...
Philip Stiles.
Philip, sorry.
With Peter Stiles.
With Peter.
That way round.
So I'm breaking the whole brain in for a friend. And we've also got Lauren Hillman, who's the station manager at Channel 44 here in South Australia, going to tell us a little bit more about what's happening to community television. Back in a tick.
Okay.
Welcome back to Our Time.
Yes.
We have somebody very special
The boss is here.
because we'd
Yep,
like you to
hey.
meet Lauren Hillman, who is our boss here in South Australia at Channel 44.
Welcome.
C44.
Thank you very much for having me both. Lovely to see
What
you
a
both.
pretty
again.
boss you are.
Oh, thank you, Malcolm. Compliments will get you everywhere.
Exactly. Now, we've asked you to be on the program for one real reason, which is to bring us up to date with what's really happening with community television.
Yes, it's a very, very tricky time at the moment. So as you know, and if the viewers don't know, this is a difficult time for community TV and community broadcasting in general. We know that $1.4 million was cut from the radio budget this year. We know that our community television licence is off air at the end of the year.
That means that community television will
Yep.
stop being free to air.
They stopped being free to air, so we've...
Not going to go away though.
It's not going to go away. So in 2014, Malcolm Turnbull did, on the dreaded day, sign the licence to say that we will be going off air. He wasn't going to renew our licence. He gave us a minor extension till the end of this year. But that isn't a long time for us to transition online.
No.
So...
But for a lot of people now in our age group, Janice and my age group, and a lot of the people who are watching us who are in our age group, who are perhaps not as computer savvy, it's all a bit confusing. We're talking about online and going off air and will
Yeah.
it cease to exist? What's really going to happen?
So it's not just a matter of picking up your remote control and clicking to 44 anymore.
No, and that's the really difficult thing
Yeah.
because the thing is that that's one of the beauty of community television is that it has been free to air for
Yes.
so long, and it has given that local voice to all the members of the community.
And is that the real reason why community television should remain as it is?
Absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, community television, I haven't even been involved for that long, but in the short
Because you came
space-
from the ABC originally.
That's right. And the
Channel
reason
9.
I've come over is because TV production at the ABC doesn't exist anymore. So
And that's the frightening thing, Lauren.
Absolutely.
And I think this is,
Yeah.
I've been saying to people, local people in all states don't realise they're losing their local voice.
Yeah,
and once you
absolutely.
lose your local voice, you absolutely lose the ability to be part of a community.
Yes.
Now, it's great that we have this community on the east coast of Australia, in Melbourne and in Sydney,
Yep.
pumping out TV through the different resources they have. But what happened to all of us here in South Australia and in Perth and in Brisbane, because we don't have a voice anymore? And I hate talking about the past because people say, you know, talk about the past and you turn off.
Yeah,
But the
sure.
reality is that it's about employment of people as well.
Absolutely.
We have a great crew of young people here in this studio and making the program,
Yeah.
putting it to air. But it means their opportunities are going to start diminishing.
That's right. And, you know, that's why it's so important that we retain community television in whatever form that it is. And we're trying to hang on to both forms. I mean, we're trying to embrace the future and we're going online and we've got a fantastic platform and there's an app that you can download and it's part of Apple TV. So, and the future of TV, I believe, is online. But the problem is...
Well, because people have to pay for it then.
That's right. Well, they have to have the internet.
Yes,
They don't
so
have
you've got to pay for
but
that.
Essentially, you do.
You do,
Yes,
you really,
you
it's
do.
pay TV.
Yeah,
you know,
it
when
is,
television
yeah.
first started, you had to have a licence.
Yeah,
And we all
that's
paid
right.
a licence to basically pay for the ABC to broadcast.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's such a shame for those people, though, that actually don't have the internet connection, that rely on their television for their entertainment. They won't have that.
And I think the future...
Well, they'll still have some
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
They just may not have community television if you've been a fan of community television.
This is the
that's what I
problem
meant.
with going off air at the end of the year, because there's such a short space of time, less than 6 months now, and we haven't really had that opportunity to transition our new business model online, which is that's why it's such
It'll take a long
dangerous
time.
Absolutely. None of the commercial free-to-air channels are doing that, but they're all streaming live online, and they've all got their catch-up services. So to run both platforms is really important, and I can see the importance of both, but just to have online is a big risk for our future for community TV.
So, now you're not saying this, but we can. So the reality is that if you like programs like this, and if you're watching in C31 in Melbourne, or
West
44 here in
TV,
Adelaide, West TV,
Perth,
and in Brisbane.
In Brisbane. And the sad thing is that Sydney's already gone off the air.
Yes, but if Sydney has good local representation because there's so much things made there anyway.
They do.
You know, there's a lot of live stuff being made out of studios in Sydney and Melbourne. But the reality is, if you feel that you don't want this to happen, maybe you should get onto your local MP.
Absolutely.
That's why we've just had this election with MPs standing for all sorts of all sorts of platforms.
We had great support from Nick Xenophon, which was really, really positive, especially coming out of South Australia, especially with the new power that he has in the Senate.
Well, there's a lot of things about to happen in the country because of the confusion we've just had in the past.
Absolutely.
And everyone's still sorting themselves out, and it's going to take time. But politicians represent us.
Yes.
So if we want change, we have to be active ourselves. Don't rely on those people to make the choices for us. They're representing us.
That's right. So we
They're
have to let
our
them know.
employees. We pay our tax to keep them in government. Anyway, I've said that. So,
It's okay.
so let's move on from there, because now we need to understand, what do we do next?
Yes, in terms of being online, so we've got this fantastic platform.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
We can
What we do
maybe
now.
change things. We can maybe change things
Well, I think we can
through
certainly
government intervention.
influence. Yes, I think we can have an influence, and I think it's really important that we all have a voice.
Yes.
And I think it's really important that you write to your local MP and really
Nick.
express your views on,
Yes.
you know, and the media, and stand up and get on our Facebook page, and because we're sharing a lot of media around the fact that without community media in this country, there aren't many independent voices.
Well, there
left.
wouldn't be a Rove.
No.
There wouldn't be a Rove. There wouldn't be
a Waleed Ali.
or an
So-
Hamish and Andy.
They
They wouldn't
started,
exist.
didn't they,
Yep.
community
Absolutely.
television.
Okay, so we could be negative about this. So let's talk about the positives.
Positives, yeah, and there are a lot of positives. So in the short space that I've taken over community TV just in South Australia, I've actually moved it, ironically, into the ABC building at Collinswood.
Funny about it.
And
Well, it was empty.
it still is.
Yes.
But look, they're looking to lease out space, so if anyone's looking for space at the ABC building, we're on the
And
7th
studios.
floor. And studios. In fact, we've just managed to acquire some of the ABC sets that, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they were getting thrown in the bin, and I rescued them. So, you know, because the thing is that we can't afford to build new sets, certainly not even to you know, go out and purchase the materials to make them.
So you've made good
Well,
use
thanks
of
to
them.
Amity Drive for
Thanks-
this set.
Exactly. I
Exactly,
know.
from her show Mother Wife.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so I've saved some sets, and now I'm actually tapping into the resources of the ABC and trying to create some local production.
But you are creating local productions. There's 3
Yes.
done in this studio that go to air on
There's
44.
3, so you've got your program, then there's a program made by one of our sales director, Paul, and then the SA Sports Show as well. So there's 3 programs that just come out of McGill. And then we've made 3 new programs this year. We've made a political show, and that's how we got connected with Nick Xenophon, called the Raucous Caucus. We connected with Cabaret Festival. We're about to connect with Guitar Festival.
Wow.
So we're sponsoring Sala.
Yep.
So there's things that are actually starting to happen. So it would be a damn shame if we actually did go off air at the end of the year.
Yes, it would be.
Just to
Absolutely.
try and retain an online business model
Yeah.
without kind of
And
any support.
And we're also going to host the opening of the Cabaret Under the Star as well.
Oh,
which
perfect.
is-
And we'll be airing that as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's the good thing about being local.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I feel we're all missing, the
Oh,
opportunity to be
absolutely.
local.
And you know, it's not just about students, it's about all people from the community.
Yes.
In
Yes.
fact, I had a gentleman email me over the weekend because we're part of the local Prospect Council, and so we've engaged with them. We've had some interest media from them, and he'd like to volunteer with us. He's 83.
Really?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, what 83-year-old is going to put up their hand to a commercial station and say, "I'd like to"? Well, they get ignored.
They would get ignored,
and
but
this
it's
is the thing,
yeah.
like,
But
how
there's all that
exciting.
experience as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and yeah, it is.
So. We're going to run out of time. We're not going to talk about, we won't have time to talk about how to do this on your TV at home. Can you come back and let's talk about that again?
We can demonstrate that. Sure.
Yeah, because I think...
As it gets closer towards the end of the year as well.
And the fact that streaming is occurring already and all of those things. So, Lauren, it's been absolutely fantastic having you here on our little show.
Yes, thanks, Lauren.
And we look forward to seeing you again in the near future.
Yes, great, thanks.
Now, we're going to be back shortly with...
Philip Stiles and Peter Sellen.
And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching Our Time. I'm Peter Sellen. Once again, with me is travel expert Philip Stiles. Philip, cruising is a very, very popular holiday destination.
Growing in Australia significantly, a lot more ships based in seasons here in Australia. The key, of course, is when you're planning or think you'd like to go on a cruise, it's the all-inclusive holiday, unpack once. And so don't go on the 108-day tour to England as your first cruise. Do a shorter cruise from Australia out of a number of ports to New Zealand or to Asian ports. There are also some circumnavigation cruises you can go on. Try that first. See how you and your body enjoy the holiday. Had to go into training for the buffet and keep that under control, or the waistline will grow with you. But I think lots of options, but start with a shorter cruise is the best advice.
Now, obviously there's the issue of if you've never been out and you might get a little queasy if it gets rough, as it does. I mean, the sea moves a bit. What advice for people who might get a little seasick? Things work for people differently. There are wristbands with pressure points. There are tablets that can help people. There are the stage where it does get more difficult, and doctors on board ships will administer injections to help you, and in most cases sleeping is the most comfortable position to be in order to get your way through some more rougher circumstances. Now, you mentioned food. I mean, food is a huge part of the experience, and there's tens of thousands of meals over a 7-day cruise, and you've got the buffet, you've got the a la carte, so many choices. I think that you manage it carefully is all my advice. I can show you photos of me in various sizes where I've got out of control, but effectively on cruising you have choices of restaurants, you have choices of the style of food. You have premium restaurants where a small fee might be paid to silver service. So there are options there that you can consider. Pacing yourself, I consider very important because there are anywhere between 3 and 7 meals a day. Indeed. The river cruising, especially in Europe, is becoming very popular. Tell us a bit about that. Well, I think river cruising is something that has grown again significantly. There are a lot of vessels been launched over the last 5 years in particular, and it can be the traditional European river cruise from Budapest to Amsterdam or reverse, which is a wonderful trip. You can do it depending on your purse, 14 days, 21 days, and from that, the beauty and the intrigue and enjoyment of smaller villages where your cruise vessel pulls right into the centre of that town. It's fantastic. And you meet the locals and eat and travel. It's perfect because it takes you right through, in the sense if you're going to a bigger city on that same trip, pulling into bigger cities, that because the river has been part of what's established that mode of transport and moving of goods and services. Yes. And so from that, you are pretty well always right in the centre of a city. Fantastic. Good advice, food for thought. Thank you very much again, Philip Stiles. Enjoy your travelling.
So I've decided that's what I'd like to do next year.
Really?
River and sea cruises.
He'll take you up the river, be careful.
Hey, that's all right.
But good show today. Interesting information. We can't wish you more than the absolute best, gold best.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be watching you with a bated breath.
We will.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I can't believe that, just how fantastic it is. We've been lucky enough to meet some great sports people on the program in the last, however long we've been doing it, 250-something episodes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Lauren, your job must have just been amazing in the last year or two.
It's been pretty crazy, I must say that. But
It's like a dawn of a new era, isn't it?
it really is. It's kept me on the edge of my seat every minute.
That's because you're sitting in my seat at the moment,
Wow,
that's why.
that's it.
We'd like to remind you that you can watch this program again on YouTube, but you could also watch this program again
On c44.com.au and on all the other community stations around the country.
What a simple way of putting it out across. I love that.
too.
And best coming from the horse's mouth who looks like Lauren. Oh, gosh, is she our boss? I should have... Oh, Lauren, I'm terribly sorry about that. The other thing is we'd love to hear from you on Facebook, because no point in us doing this if we don't know who you want to see or people you'd like to suggest to us. So until next time on Our Time, when we see your faces again, keep yourself nice till then.
Take care. See you next time.
Bye.